send the stream out to whoever you want, friendos. I'm going to make a post in my Discord.
Joke's on you, I already did.
Ho 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 ho! Big boy
get
up
bent.
in here. Okay, so with that taken care of, hello everyone. My name is Dokuro Jim, joined once again by my friend Jask and Jask's friend, and also my friend Adrenaline. Say hello, Adrenaline.
Greetings.
Yes. They do LARP. They're very big into LARP, which, for those of you who don't know, is live-action role-playing. It's like D&D, but you move your body more.
I've always liked describing it as D&D, but you get to hit people.
Yes, which could be fun for some of you.
Oh yeah.
But this is going to be a very Jask and Adrenaline-centered episode, so you guys that are coming in, I'm probably gonna just be like flavor in the background for this episode of the podcast. So yeah. Oh crap! I left the alerts on. Ah, that was loud. Malorna Cross, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Skeleton Army. I left the alerts. They just destroyed me in my headphones. I'm gonna turn those off real quick. Shit, hold on. I done goofed it. Let me turn off the alert box real quick. Holy shit. That was
Delightful.
so loud.
Mistakes have been made.
Okay, we're just gonna turn all these off real quick. We're just gonna real fast like you got a shiny jewel. You did.
Delightful.
Okay.
Pain is funny.
Haha, streamer Pain. Remember, kids, if you give $, streamers say name. So, now that we got some people here and that I've lost all hearing in my right ear, Jess, Drino, take it away. Tell me about LARP.
Yeah, so I think the first thing I want to touch on was Adrenaline. What got you into LARPing? What was like your first event, or like why did you get into LARPing?
Mm-hmm.
All right, story time. So one of my very best friends, that sadly I don't talk to as much anymore, but he was my friend through middle school and high school. His girlfriend went to a LARP that was run by her brother. And I had never done any kind of LARP stuff before that. And she was going on vacation during a LARP. So she literally handed me her weapon, and the only explanation I got for what LARPing was is you go out in the woods and hit people with this stick.
Delightful.
Interesting.
And that was not my thing at all. I was actually very much not gonna go because that does not sound like a fun time for me.
Mm-hmm.
And but I went, this person specifically was like, no, you're going in my place, you have to go. So I went, and it was not at all just go in the woods and hit people with a stick. And that very first event, I just got hooked. I mean, I've always loved role playing. I've been doing it for way too long. And so I just have been LARPing pretty much constantly since that LARP, and that was 15 years ago.
I definitely feel that. Slightly similar-ish story in that I had no idea what LARPing was, and then a girlfriend at the time was like, "Hey, you're coming out to LARP with me," and I was like, "Yeah, okay." No idea what that is, but I'm down. And then I get out there, and they're telling me how it works. And I'll slightly opposite of you. Once I was told I get to fight people with fake swords, I was here for it. Combat is one of my favorite things. I also really enjoy roleplay, as Adrenaline has seen. But having grown up doing combat stuff, it's definitely one of my bigger and more favorite things to do. But yeah, so my first ever LARP event was like a backyard LARP ran by my girlfriend at the time's and such, and yeah, it was definitely interesting. It was a more combat focused than RP focused LARP, but once I got into more RP focused LARPs, I fell in love with doing the RP as well.
So
Yeah,
I've
again,
also heard of Boffa, which I think is just like LARP but without the RP and stuff. I don't know. I've also heard of that.
Yeah, so there's there's a few of them out there. Like I think Ampguard. I don't know too much about Ampguard, but I think Ampguard's one of them. I think Dagger here is one of them. There's a few of them out there that are more combat than RP. Some of them will have some character building and some roleplay stuff, but they're more about the combat than not. Which I do love those, but like it leaves me wanting more usually. Like, because I like going out into the woods and pretending to be a kobold and screeching in a voice that sounds like Mickey Mouse had done cocaine for a few years. It's fun for me.
So on that note, Dago here is so there are some LARPs that are basically you fight until you physically go down, and Dago here is one of those. There is RP there, but it is very much you beat the hell out of each other. And then I think the term is Boffer Club.
Yep.
So and that just is the weapon is called a boffer, so it's literally I was going to go to, I guess it's not really called a LARP because there's no RP, but I was going to go to one of those and just to see how it was, but the event that I was going to go got canceled and they haven't had an event since. So
well, that's definitely a thing.
And then in the opposite direction, there's what's called Parlor Larps, which have almost no combat. Where anytime that there's like any kind of combat scenario, quote unquote, you essentially do rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
Which I haven't done any of them yet, because the idea of it gives me hives.
Well, see, a part of me digs that so much, Jask, because I am a man made of paper clips and string. And so the idea of like getting out, I'm already wearing hot armor and hot clothing, you know. And
yeah.
And then having to swing a sword at people, you know, in the hotness, in the outdoors, I'm just like, that kind of sucks. You know, that kind of makes me feel like it sucks a little bit.
You see, or you can do what I did this past weekend. And on Saturday, when it was like, 86 degrees, I was in a cotton long sleeve shirt with chainmail over that.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, a leather vest over the cotton shirt. Yes. Chainmail over that, and then a thick padded gambeson over that. A gambeson, for those that don't know, is enough padding that it could feasibly stop a sword. And it's all cloth.
Singal, thank you for the follow, by the way. Welcome to Skeleton Army. Yeah, I just, like, part of me wants to do the physical battle LARP, and then part of me just wants to pretend to be a bard and sit around a campfire and play songs for everybody.
Well,
you know,
that's the beauty of it, is that, like, so, like, a great example is Adrenaline's LARP that he runs and is
which I want to talk about that,
amazing.
By the way.
Yeah, absolutely. But, so I brought in a group of, if we're all there, which is very rare, but if we're all there, there's 14 people in it. We're called the Kobolds. And, because we all play Kobolds, by the way. But, there's quite a few of us who have no combat skills. My friend Fox, who was at this previous event, has 0 combat skills. They carry a sword so that they can defend themselves, so that they can block, and yell for help. But they're our gatherer. They just gather stuff. That's what they do. Or like my roommate Trenton, he has no combat skills. He just has healing and caster stance. And what caster stance does is he's allowed to plant his feet, called caster stance healing, and he just heals anybody who comes in arm's reach of him. So you can go to a LARP that is a combat LARP, as long as it's not boffer club kind of LARP. But you can go to a LARP that's a combat LARP and still absolutely have fun doing no combat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but well, see, like a part of me, like I said, a part of me wants to do both. But at the end of the day, I know I'm gonna be like, man, I just wanna play music, man, and like sing and like maybe bring some treats. You know?
And you can definitely build a character that's like that.
Yeah.
Also, Fox, I see that you said you're usefully useless. You are not useless at all. The amount of things that you skinned this past event, I almost died the first time that you yelled "Take its skin," or somebody. I don't remember who. I don't remember which kobold yelled "Take its skin."
Oh, that was beautiful.
Was it Trenton's character? It was probably Trenton's character. That sounds like something Trenton would yell.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was because Fox, they're the gatherers, so they have all the harvesting skills. When we had killed an animal, we wanted its leather, and one of the kobolds yelled "Take its skin" instead of saying, "Hey, collect its leather."
Yeah. Well, take its skin is essentially collect its leather. Leather just has a little bit more, time essentially to it.
Yeah, and then Lana, to comment on what you just said, I'm so glad that you say that. A lot of the kobolds have been fighting alongside each other for a very long time, so usually our tactics, we don't even need to yell it to each other or communicate. We know what each other are doing.
Now, is that going to change with the character change?
Oh man, yeah, I definitely want to get into the character change, but I think Jim had wanted to touch on your running the LARP thing.
Yeah, so I did want to talk about that, and like we can get more into what has happened at the LARP, but I kind of wanted to turn the mic to you, Drino, and then be like, hey, what's running a LARP like? What is LARPing? Like what goes into that, and what is it about, and everything like that for people that don't know.
That is a very, very big question. Because I mean, we've already gone into some of the different types of LARP.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it really just depends on what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to want to LARP. Because there's everything from, SCA, which is you literally go out and it's like, almost reenactment, where you are literally like forging weapons and you have a full suit of armor on and you're churning butter and it's actually like
Mm-hmm.
a real LARP, all the way to I guess basically what I do, which is fantasy and completely not at all grounded in reality and stuff. So I mean there's stuff. I guarantee that there is a LARP that almost there is some kind of LARP that you would like, So, as for me, really, my own LARP came about because we accidentally went to a mire on Black Friday. And that was a terrible thing, and I don't recommend anyone ever doing that. And so we're sitting there waiting, because that's what you do. And me and my other friend who runs this LARP, the LARP we were going to had died. And we were like, we can't stop doing this. We have to keep going. And so we spent the next 2 hours walking around a mire, learning, or writing a LARP, coming up with a world.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, given that, as far as I know, you obviously you do DM stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I assume you've been there. You've been walking around creating a world.
Yeah, that's the impetus of this podcast. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole world that is spilling forth within this tightly wrapped burrito from Chipotle that I call a brain. And did you like that one? Did you like that one?
I like that one. That's a good one.
Just imagine, all the shit in the burrito just tightly wrapped. It doesn't exactly fit. It's kind of spilling out the sides.
Yeah,
that's my brain. And like so, I look at this LARP stuff the same way that I do sort of D&D, but like there's this little carnal like separation that I have that's like, okay, when I'm DMing or when I'm playing D&D, like there is Jim and then there is Eugene. But when I am out there in armor with a sword, talking in a voice, beating people about the face and body with said sword, that it does something different to my brain when I think about it. You know, like it's more visceral. It's more there. It's more in. You know, and like that's why I think it's so cool, and that's why I wanted to do this episode, is because like I know nothing about LARP and about how LARP works or anything like that.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And given your description, you know, your paper clips held together with tape.
Yes.
Our LARP is perfect for that because we are what's called a lightest touch LARP.
Mm-hmm.
And so literally you only hit the person hard enough for them to feel it, and that's it. And I am not a well put together guy either. I don't like getting hit. I'm not into, you know, so it works out for, you know, that kind of person where you don't want to, you know, be smacked around a bunch.
Yeah.
So the
Time and
focus
place,
is
Drino. Time and place.
Mm-hmm.
Mosh pit at a concert? All right. Big boy with a hammer about to beat me about the face? No, thank you. So, you know.
And like I'm very much so I'm of the opposite mind in that I love hard contact LARPs, but I don't like the community hard contact LARPs tends to bring about.
It seems like there'd be a lot of LARP chads.
Yeah, it's
Like-
a lot of people who think that they're better than everybody else.
Like, is a LARP chat a thing?
It is. Oh god, yes it is. Honestly, I have to say, Adrenaline, the community you have built at your LARP, fantastic. Amazing community. As somebody who has LARPed at almost every LARP in the state of Michigan, at least at some point in his life, the community you have built is absolutely amazing.
I'll accept that compliment. Thank you.
And it's
Go
ahead.
And like that's just how it works, because if you have a decent community, it just brings more decent people to it, and by design makes people who are, you know, less decent want to leave because they're just not having fun, because everyone there is, you know, just a different person from what they're looking for. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's not anything specific that I have done. It's just it happens because it happens. But I appreciate it. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. It's an amazing community. I mean, and then you, George, and everyone else who puts in the work of like the NPC team and stuff. Just absolutely fantastic job. I've only been to 2 combat sessions, and there was the one feast event, but like I love the group that you guys have. And the system is fun. It's so fun. I like how open it is. I had wanted to touch on this at some point, so I guess right now I'll do it. Is that there's like we were talking about, there's so many different kinds of LARPs. Another LARP I recently joined called Dystopia Rising is a post-apocalyptic LARP that's really cool in concept, but like I struggle with it because it's so rigid. You've got only these skills to work with, and you've only got, you know, this stuff you can do in the crafting system, while very robust and like everything's all laid out, and you know what you can do. It leaves no room to be like, oh well, I've just become a horrible chimera monster. Can I don't know, fly and also burrow and also kick down doors easier because I'm made of more arms than not arms? And
so many arm.
Yes, it's a very specific example for a reason. And
8
like
legs.
it's a whole thing that like I love this LARP because you can talk to the people running it and be like, hey, so you have this talent system. What can we do to make this concept happen?
He has 12 hands. Also,
Yeah.
Lindsay, I love you, General Kenobi. I just want to let you know that. Like that made me laugh. I had to lean away from the mic and laugh. General Kenobi. Okay, never mind.
It's okay.
I'm gonna go off on a tangent about Star Wars. I don't want to.
So, but yeah, like it's just an amazing system that you guys have built, and I don't think I'll ever stop singing your guys' praises. I mean, almost every time I've opened my mouth, at some point I've circled back to singing you guys' praises.
Oh no, please don't hold back.
Stroke my ego, please. Yes.
Well, good news is I will.
Retrieve the warm olive oil and the grapes. Feed me. Feed me.
What were you gonna say, Adrenaline?
And that's definitely something that we worked really hard on, is the freedom to just do. And that comes with its own difficulties, because now, because the players have so much freedom, there's a lot of just stuff that we have to work out on the fly.
Yeah.
But I have a stupid amount of just homebrewed DM experience that I'm used to working out things on the fly, so fortunately, it's usually not too much of a problem. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the biggest designs, was ease of character creation and then massive versatility. You can do whatever you want, as long as, it fits in the world, it makes sense, and it's not just completely broken.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, let's pretend for a second, even though it's true. I am a just little fresh bab. I'm a fresh bab, freshly wrapped in the world of this LARP. If I come to one of these LARPs, one of these things, what's the experience like? What's the atmosphere like? Like I wanna live vicariously through, like, what's creation like? Like what do you do? I would like to know.
Go ahead.
So in general, that's going to very much so depend on the different LARPs that you go to. With Adrenaline's LARP,
Yeah,
I found
let's just use Drino's as an example.
Yeah. I found it was honestly one of the better experiences I've had with creating a character and getting situated into a new LARP. Because as I mentioned, I've only been to a few events so far with their LARP. Already absolutely in love. I think I was in love when I finished making my character. But from my fresh experience with that, I say fresh, it's been like a year and a half, but that's because of COVID. So still rather fresh. You would go and you would either talk to Adrenaline or George or a few of the others that help run the things, and you would get your character situated. You'd sit down with their skill book. You would tell them maybe like a basic concept, like for example, you wanted to play a bard, right? Mm-hmm. You would give them the basically that, and they would work with you on what skills would work into being a bard, and help maybe plan for your future skills and stuff. Maybe talk about that, and then you would just they would have like a pre-game little bit of a chat. Make sure that you know how to do combat safely. Make sure you know what the different calls are. They would go over what hold means. Basically, if somebody yells hold, everybody else yells hold and sits down. And it's a safety thing. It's to make sure, like, if somebody gets hurt, nobody's going to run them over. Stuff like that. And then there would be a game on call, and you would be able to just go in and start role-playing your character. It's very, I mean, you've played D&D. It's going to be a lot similar to that. It's going to be a lot similar to, you get essentially a session 0 a little bit, that is like, making your character and then going in. Because you're a friend of mine, it would be a little easier because we could even pre-make your character, because I know the system pretty well now.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And see, I think that's why that's cool is because, like Lana was saying, it's very good about LARP because there's no real class limitations. I love that, like, if I wanted to come in and just be a baker and like bake fresh pies and bring pies for people and just be like, these are my pies, eat of them and be merry. Like, I can do that shit, and that's great.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Some LARPs do have that where like you pick a class and there's some limitations within that. My first LARP ever, Shadowed Realms, what they did was you would choose your class and that would change how much skills cost for you. So if you chose warrior, weapon skills and like direct combat related skills are going to be cheaper, but then like to buy spells, it's going to cost a lot.
Hold on, my mic got turned down. Am I any louder for you guys? No, hold on. Am I still good?
You're a little, yeah.
Okay.
You're fine. You're fine.
Okay. Yeah, my gain got turned down on my mic, and I was like, why am I not? I'm not even hitting the yellow on the thing. So okay,
Yeah,
I just want to make
fine.
sure because I was like, wait a minute. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, no. So like, some LARPs do class systems. Some of them are, so like with Shadowed Realms, where you choose your class. So if you chose Rogue, you get Backstab, you get Assassinate for cheaper. But then like, if you wanted to pick up Great Swords, it's going to be a really expensive skill for you. Or like Dystopia Rising, instead of doing a class system, they have their skills grouped up into different types. So you have your like combat skills, you have your social skills, you have your psionic skills, stuff like that. And every time you buy into a type of skill, that type gets more expensive. Which I personally, I'm not a fan of that kind of a system. Because as Adrenaline has learned from our group, we do this crazy stupid thing where each person in our group of 14 people picks a character or picks a thing, and then that character only does that thing. So like,
That's pretty good.
Trenton picked healing, so he only does healing.
Yeah.
He has one of the highest heals on the field, one of the highest, not the highest, because it's the only thing he can do. Fox picked gather, so that's what they do. They gather. Their gather skill is really high up there. And so like individually, if you were to catch us out, you would be able to steamroll any of the kobolds individually. The problem is we are never alone, and with our powers combined, we're a highly functioning adult.
Yeah. Well, I have one condition. If I become lizard, if I become kobold, I am chef kobold. I only feed. I only cook. That's all I do. That's all I do. You think about it. Think about it. You'll come back to the camp and I'll have made like polenta and like stewed pork, and it's just like, yeah, you got a freaking 2 Michelin star chef on your team now. What's up?
Lana brings up
how
a
we
good
doing?
point. The kobolds are Voltron.
The kobolds are and I'll form the head. Summon flaming sword. One of the kobolds just runs out with a flaming stick.
Yeah.
Like screaming.
But Adrenaline, did you have anything to add about, for somebody's first time out?
I mean, basically, I was going to start off on the same way you did. Is it really just depends on the LARP you go to.
Yeah.
So for my own, I mean, you went into it, but usually the first question I ask someone, because we have had a lot of people who have never roleplayed, never LARPed, never done anything like that before, is, what do you want to do? Do you want to be like up front in combat, sword and shield, beating the crap out of things? Do you want to be hiding in the back, slinging spells or shooting arrows? Do you want to heal? Do you just want to hide in the tavern and pretend you don't exist? I mean, it just, And then if they have RP'd before, then I can go into, do you want to be more of a tank with a bunch of health? Do you want to do a lot of damage, rogue or warrior kind of deal? And obviously those aren't, we don't have a class system, so those are completely pliable, but at least it's a starting point. So like for your specific instance of, you want to be a baker or do food, honestly, I might, for that specific thing, I might give you skills that aren't even in our skill book, because that's a really cool idea, and I like that, and you should come.
Yeah, well, see, like, I was a chef before I did, like, this. So I literally, like, I could bring ingredients and make food, and that would be, like, people could literally come and get, like, stew and cooked meats and, like, bread and stuff, and I think that'd be dope to just play a character who, like, is a battle chef, essentially. Like, that would just that'd be really cool. But, like, I also, I sing and I play music and stuff, so, like, being a bard also kind of gets my hackles up. I'm like, I want to do that shit,
And you could easily do both. And, like, if you did actually come in and, like, make food and stuff, we actually have a donation system, because, actually, the most important thing that I don't know how I forgot. So as far as I know, from one of my other friends who goes to a bunch of LARPs, we are a free LARP. Completely free.
Mm-hmm.
You can show up and LARP and not pay a dime. And I think we are the only free LARP in Michigan at all.
For a while there,
cool.
Abundant Few that I helped run
Gotcha.
was also in that running, but Abundant Few has since closed down because we lost the lands, and the person who made it just wasn't feeling running LARP anymore.
Gotcha. So because of that, if you do bring anything, so food or costumes or whatever, that the LARP uses, you get donation points for that, and that gives you points for your character.
That's cool. That's very cool.
As well as if you specifically were to come in as a chef, you'd start as a brand new character. I would give you, like, a lot of in-game money, because as a chef, you would have gotten paid for your food.
Mm-hmm.
And your food would give, awesome benefits to anyone who ate it, because that is just a really cool character class. Like, I love that idea.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that in D&D, just be like a chef character, but I haven't found, like, any homebrew stuff that really tickles my fancy. With just being there's a LARP safe rolling pin. No, if I'm gonna have something, I want to have like I want to have like a banjo or some shit, or like something very, like, I mean, I don't know what I'd do for this character, but, like, because I have a very specific like fantasy Bobby Flay-esque, like. Like, yeah, I'm the best and nobody can stop me. Like, look, this is my Bobby Flay impression. I don't even remember what he sounds like. But, like, I just imagine... I have different imaginable things that I can do in my brain that, that I've thought about. And I don't know what I'd do. But it's
when
interesting.
You come out, we can get it planned out. Because I also know several online services that, like, you talk it out with the people, and they'll give you a price estimate, and they make custom LARP weapons that look really nice. I was actually just looking at getting my Kalamazoo shovel replaced because Kalamazoo no longer makes that shovel.
Yeah. Oh, just I can El Kabong people with a guitar or something like that. Yes, wonderful. Yeah, no, catch me in the tavern at night drinking and playing songs for people. Like, that's my LARP experience. Fun. That's my LARP experience. Yeah,
that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody if there is any musicians out at field, there's none that actively practice.
Yeah, I don't think we currently have an actual bard character. We have had a couple. But currently, I don't think we have one that's, like, actively playing. So that would be super awesome.
Yeah.
I need to learn how to play a lute.
Shadow of the Realms had a neat system for bards where, like, the way their magic worked was, like, they would get, like, if you were trying to do, like, a health buff, right? It would do less than the normal health buff. But anybody who could hear your song, so long as it's playing, would get that health buff.
Lindsay, that's fucking so Lindsay in the chat, for those of you who know, plays Mayworth in the Heckna campaign. She said a chef with synesthesia that creates food that tastes like music. You have spoken to me. I want you to know you opened up my chest and leaned into my heart and was just like, hey, how about this? And I was like, yeah,
that.
yeah, that. Yes. Oh, that's good. That's very good.
It's a fun concept.
Oh, it's tasty. Like you eat, like it's like that scene in Ratatouille when when Remy fucking eats the cheese and he eats the fruit and he has like the jazz like boom boom the solo in his head and then it forms. That's great. Of course, I'm gonna liken it back to Ratatouille because that's my favorite Pixar movie. But like, that's great. That's fantastic. That's wonderful.
That's awesome.
That's great. Go ahead.
So another thing I wanted to touch on with adrenaline. I know this is gonna be possibly a big ask. Do you have a hands down favorite LARP moment?
Oh man. So the first LARP I went to was very murdery. You didn't sleep because the LARP would kill you.
Oh no.
And it was amazing. Like, I loved it. There so many times I'm just sitting in the tavern and just the tension was amazing. I love that LARP.
Been similar. I love that feeling. It's a very nice feeling. It's nice to not have it sometimes, but it's a fun one.
Yeah. 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 So there was one time where and I'm a warm weather person. I love it when it's 90 degrees.
Oh, you disgusting human being.
And I am a terrible person. And it was winter. So
I keyed, but also
yeah. It was winter. So in the tavern, they have the heat just pumped all the way up because it's, below freezing.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I'm like, I'm getting on the top bunk because this is warm. This is amazing. Mm-hmm. Well, I wake up halfway through the night because all I am at that point is sweat because it's probably like 110 up there.
You're dehydrated. You're like,
So I take my sleeping bag, I put it on the floor, I lay on top of it, and then I put the other one on top of me. And in this LARP, you sleep with your weapons or you die. So I have my weapons down next to me. And I am an extremely light sleeper. So I hear scuffling from outside the door. I wake up and I look over and the door opens. And you, for most LARPs, for out of game, you put your hand or weapon on your head. So you can be like, either they don't see you, you don't exist, or you can ask a question. So I put my hand on my head and go, hey, what do you appear to be? And it's a terrifying creature. I hated these things in this. Well, I loved them, but my character hated them in this LARP. And it just pushes the door open and looks at me. And I am just woke up and I see this terrifying thing. So I hit adrenaline and stick my leg out from under my sleeping bag. And because I have the other one on the floor, I slide and roll into the weapons that I have next to me.
Aided by your slicked up, sweaty body.
Yeah, see?
Slide across the floor like a slug to my weapon. Yeah!
Because of the momentum, I actually roll onto my feet with both weapons in hand.
Oh, that's great!
Facing this thing.
Sweaty man! Yeah!
And it was just the coolest thing.
Oh, that's wonderful. Just this sweaty man with two swords, just like, yeah! Come on!
That's delightful.
I'm gonna get him!
That is amazing.
Great. That's wonderful.
God, there's a lot for me. So honestly, one of my favorite comes from this past event. It's one I wanted to touch on anyway, so I'm actually going to put a pin in that one, and go to a different one I wanted to talk about, which was I used to have a character named Richtofen, and he was a gnoll. He was one of the first characters for LARPing I ever made. And at that LARP, I had made some enemies because I was not a good person.
I made some enemies.
Yeah, and I mean, like, in real life, I was not a good person, and people at that LARP hated me because of it. Fairly so. It was very fair for them to hate me. I do not blame them for doing so. So, sometime down the line, after I realized, hey, I'm a jackass, I don't like who I am, and I changed who I am, they still hadn't caught up to that. They really didn't like me and my character. So at one point I got a cursed item that couldn't get taken off. That was a ring that shut off all magic. No magic could touch me. Which means healing magic, which is like the only source of healing on the field. Like, my only other option is to wait 24 hours to heal up. Mm-hmm. We tried cutting off the finger it was on and just moved to a different finger. And then my character was like, listen, I need to be able to fight. We're not going to try cutting off all my fingers. And if it moves to my toes and we cut off all my toes, there's only one thing hanging off me. We're not cutting that off.
So I have a question also.
Yeah.
So you cut off one of his fingers. Do you then have to RP like you don't have that finger? Like, do you have to bend in your finger and just be like, give me some of them cornflakes? Like,
you don't have to. I go that hard, yes.
Yeah.
But you don't have to. Yeah. And then eventually we got a quest a quest was ran into town, and it was, hey, there's some goblins that mugged my cart. If you can go recover some of the goods that they stole, please. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's just goblins. Like, yeah. Okay, I'll bring all the new people. I'll go as their chaperone, because at that point my character's 4 years into this LARP. I am powerful, like insanely powerful.
A big boy.
Yeah, and so the idea was my character would go in and he would supervise, and if anybody went down, he would, protect them while they got healed or, whatever. And that was very much so the commonplace for that LARP. Well, apparently, as I got told some years down the line, when they heard that Richtofen was going on that module, they changed it from a goblin cave to a cave full of trolls. So Richtofen, his clan had this thing where they would stare into the void, they would lose their minds, and they would get some kind of affliction. So Richtofen's affliction was that he couldn't run away from a fight. Trolls can only die permanently if you do fire damage. No one in our group had the ability to do fire damage. So we get there, and 4 trolls come out of the cave. Richtofen looks to the group and goes, run. And then turns to the trolls and takes on the 4 trolls. I fought 4 people by myself for like an hour. Just knocking them down to 0. They would drop to 0. They would do a minute count. They'd get back up. And I was just fighting people by myself for an hour until eventually, finally, I couldn't move my arms. Like, my arms would not move up anymore. And they brought me down to 0. I hit the ground, and I couldn't be healed.
See, I love that. I love that shit. I love that shit so much.
My character died.
Because, that's just, that tickles so much of my RPG tropes that I like. Like, the bad boy character finally becomes a good person. They are surrounded by enemies, and he's like, I will take them on. And then he dies, and the rest of his friends get to go back to safety. Like, that's ooh. That's the good.
Yeah. It was, like, I thought it was a good death. I thought that's really cool. And then later I found out it only happened because they didn't like me and they changed the encounter.
Yeah, that sours it a little bit, but like,
But it's I still fought 4 people by myself for an hour. It was not like I fought them all at once. It was a lot of, I brought 2 of them down, so let me focus on these 2, get them down. Okay, the minute count is done with the other 2, so let me turn around. But it was still, the odds were not in my favor to fight off people for an hour. But my other favorite moment was at Adrenaline's Larp this past weekend. We had a really fun module where we're investigating some evil mages who were doing some crazy things with people and animals and stuff. Again, we're playing the kobolds at this LARP. One of my a small favorite was at one point all the kobolds have sat down and like people are starting to get a little frustrated with the puzzles. And I mentioned the fact that if it was my other group that we play, we also play a group called the Crow Family, which are these human nobles. If it was a Crow Family, we'd be able to solve this. But because it's kobolds, we're lowering the whole group. Like everybody gets stupider when the kobolds are around. But at a certain point, my kobold had touched a dead chimera. And its blood got absorbed into him. And he's like, oh, that's fancy. Let me go touch another one. And absorbed more blood. And nothing really came of it. His scales turned blood red, but you know, he was like, yeah, that's fine. Scales change colors sometimes. That seems normal. We continued on. Then
Remember,
at some
don't
point,
touch things.
yeah. Then at some point, somebody needed to go back out of the thing, but didn't want to drag the whole group. So my kobold escorted him because my kobold's the defense kobold. I had a bunch of things that made it so that certain things just couldn't go through my shields. If it hit anything else, it went through, but it could not go through my shields. I guide them back to the elevators up out of this dungeon experimentation area, and then as I turn around to head back, I see all the dead chimera pushed against their cages, asking to, get absorbed.
Asking to be touched.
And not just be touched, to be absorbed.
To be absorbed.
To be absorbed. To be free from their bodies and become one with Kobold's body. And Kobold, being Kobold, did it. He absorbed all of them. He absorbed all 8 of these failed chimera and lost himself in a sea of voices. And so now I went from playing this kobold to playing this character who has like a spider body, but instead of legs, it's just arms where the legs would be. Kobold torso sticking out of where the spider's head would be. A human head, elven ears. We're talking about adding horns onto him, so we're thinking like one ram's horn and one just straight out horn. 2 pairs of wings, one smaller and feathered, and one larger and bat-like. And I was told, like you're lost in a sea of voices. You recognize the people in front of you. You're not sure if they're friend or foe. All this stuff. So we have this really cool roleplay moment of them trying to like calm this character down, trying to figure out who he is, trying to figure out if Kobold's still in there. Eventually, it's determined that Kobold, while in there, is lost. And so they're trying to figure out what to call him. So he ends up saying that he wants to be called Dissonance, which is very fitting. He is a non-harmonious creature. There's just absolute dissonance in his mind.
Chimera with a K.
And then we're pushing further in, and we get to the person who created all those chimera. And I just put my hand on my head to show that I'm out of game. I walk up to the person that is role-playing him. I'm like, hey, so like when these chimera were made, were they awake enough to recognize this person's face? What kind of emotions would they be feeling? And he's like, oh yeah, they were awake, they were terrified, and they hate this person. He did all kinds of bad things. So I got to do this really fun roleplay of like, I'm pacing back and forth and clearly like working myself up. I'm trying to give the players time to talk to this person before I just rip the shield off of my arm, like Kobold's big shield that like signified his defense thing. Ripped off my arm, ripped the buckler off my arm, just take my sword in both hands and charge this person, yell at him a few minutes or a few seconds, and then kill him. And then like as he hits the ground, or puts his hand on his head to back away to show that he's dead, I then look to the ground and start wailing on the corpse. Throw the sword to the side and start punching at the ground to show I'm just wailing on the corpse with my fists. Finally, people like talk Dissonance a little bit to calm him down into like, hey, can we like search the body? And Dissonance goes to turn, stops, turns back around, kicks the corpse, and then turns away and walks away.
Yeah, can we search this pile of ground beef, please? Like this, this lovely pile of short rib that you have so beautifully butchered for us. I mean, I really can't.
Yeah, it was just such a
Tasty.
fun roleplay moment, and then like just the roleplay that followed. Everything that's followed so far with exploring the concept of dissonance has been really, really fun.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I see you talk about this, and I know that it's real people, and just like it's such there's this visceral like realness to it that makes me like want to do it really bad, and like see like I've been thinking about the character, and I want to make him a dwarf chef who also sings. Like if dwarves are a thing, but
Yeah,
just
dwarves
like
are a thing.
just like just like the kobolds come back and there's just this one monster, and then he's just like, well now I've seen everything. Like can't even write the song about that one. That's wow. But the fact that like I could like these are things that like like you're not just sitting around a table talking about doing it. Like these are things that happen, and I think that's part of the reason why I want to do LARP so much. That's part of the reason why LARP intrigues me so much is because, like, I love the physical aspect of D&D. Like, Drino, I bought, like, for the character I play in the Heckna campaign, I bought his holy symbol, and I wear his holy symbol when I play Eugene. And
Yeah.
so, like, the physical aspect of D&D, the physical, like objects, like if you're a DM and you bring like physical props to your D&D game, that just makes me like it so much more. So like LARP being, you know, physical people with armor and like things that are real world representations of these things, that's what really gets me. And so just hearing you two talk about this, I'm like, man, horse meme, man, like, you know, ah I'm
Yeah.
fulfilled.
And it is every bit as you imagine it, because it is like I have role played for a stupid amount of time, and it's tabletop definitely has certain things that it just does better, because obviously in real life there's you cannot fly. There's just
I have
certain
to take
things.
this really quick. Pardon me.
Yep.
I'm gonna mute my mic.
Sounds good.
Hold on.
Shaking my head, Jim. Shaking my
Yeah.
head. How dare?
But yeah, well, I guess since he's gonna do phone stuff, I guess I'll go into like my RP stuff. I have been doing RP for probably 20 years at this point in different ways. LARPing at this point for probably, I know I said 15 earlier, but it's probably closer to 16 or 17 years.
All right, I'm back.
Oh, that was quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had to let them know something because they call, my grandmother calls me every night before she goes to bed, and I have to, you know, talk to the G-Ma.
That's very soft.
Yes. But one of the things I wanted to ask about, and I'll let you guys finish your little tangent you were talking about, is where did you like start role playing? Like where did this whole LARP thing like progenerate from? You know, like progenerate from?
Yeah. So, Adrenaline, what's yours? Yeah, I'll give mine.
Okay. So one of my friends got their hands on a Marvel role-playing book.
Mm-hmm.
And none of us had ever role-played before. And we didn't realize until much later that this book was one book of a set of books.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think I know the very one you're talking about, actually.
Most likely, yeah. So we picked this up and we rolled up characters having no, we got a die, and we rolled up characters having no idea what to do, and we just set off and did this. I don't even remember most of it because, like I said, it was 20 plus years ago, but it was so much fun. And obviously, as a kid, I did a lot of, I guess, imagination play and stuff. So technically, I've been, doing loose role play my entire life.
I feel that, homie.
But that was my first actual, like, we've got a book, we've got rules, and we're role playing, and it was so much fun. And after that, we kept using that book because none of us had any basis in role play. We didn't even, like, we knew D&D was a thing, but none of us had any idea about it. And so we just used this book and probably ran, 15 campaigns through it before realizing that there was actually other stuff out there. So that was my beginning.
That's really great. I actually really enjoy that because mine, and I don't know if this really counts, but like you said, I've been doing sort of imagination play for a really, really long time. But I didn't know what role play was. Like, I didn't know there was a functional name for that. That was just something that I did. Like, oh yeah, this sounds cool. I'm going to make a character around this, and then in my head, he's going to have adventures, But when I started playing World of Warcraft, because I played World of Warcraft for about 14 years, I got into a roleplay guild, and I didn't know what that was. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, you be your character. Like, you create a character backstory, you be your character, like, and then we do stuff in character, like, through text. And I was like, you do that? That's a thing? And they were like, yeah, just do it. And I'm like, all right, cool. And that's where my original D&D character, Cedric, came from. So, yeah.
For me, I don't remember which came first. It's a toss-up between going to my friend Joe's house, Joe Rec, and playing D&D ran by his dad, or Gaia Online. I'm in the forums of Gaia Online, doing roleplay there, in the cringiest, like, horrible aspect of that.
So when did PARP start, Jask?
When did PARP start?
Yeah, when did you start doing PARP?
First off, you know damn well, if it wasn't like an hour ago, I will not be able to tell you any kind of time frame.
Well, you just a frame of reference, Rockbrain.
I do think I was in PARP around like the first year that it was out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when that was, but I do remember being really early in on it.
Yeah, I was in it when it was still the beta. Like, I got into it when it was still the beta. So I just wondered, because you said Gaia, and that, like, shot my brain back to 2001.
Yeah, so, 2003. 2000. Yeah. I double-checked when Gaia came out just a few seconds ago as we were talking about it. I was like, man, how long ago was that? 2003 was when Gaia Online was created. And yeah. So I remember role playing on the Gaia Online forums, and then I joined PARP, which for those who don't know, it's it was originally for role playing Homestuck stuff, which is actually where Jim and I met.
Yes, it is.
And it's now MXRP, and it's for any kind of role play in general, all done online. There's no like rule books or anything. Usually, it's just whoever's created this particular thread chat determines what kind of is okay, isn't okay, all that kind of stuff.
It's a hellhole.
It's a hellhole. Oh my god. But I keep going back because I miss it, and I like some of the people I've met there.
Well, see, what I did was I cherry-picked like 6 or 7 of you that I like, and I have your Discord. Now you can't run away from me. That's what happened. But yeah, just because I want to go get something to eat real fast, I'm going to call it's about an hour anyway. I'm going to call a 5-10 minute break.
Yeah.
And so we can all get up, get some water. And those of you in the chat, you lovelies here, if you would like to pose questions to us in the chat, please do so. I would like for like the last third of the segment to be us just answering questions from you guys. So if you'd like to post some questions, I'll go back through and cherry pick them, and then we'll see what what we can do. Yes, Mooning, we love Homestuck here. We stand the idea of Homestuck. Not so much Homestuck itself, but Homestuck,
Or the community. The community
the
kind of
idea of
sucks.
Homestuck is pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick 5-10 minute break. I'm just going to leave the stream up because, frankly, I don't have the stuff situated for the podcast. So I'm just going to leave the stream up. But yeah, y'all have fun. I'm going to go get a bite to eat really quick. Y'all get water. Everybody get water, stretch, do what you need to do. And we'll be back in about 5-10 minutes. All right.
Yeah, I'll be right back as well. I'm going to run to the bathroom.
Okie dokie.
I'm used to streaming for hours on end, so I can chill here and yell at you if there's anything specific you guys want me to talk about. Because I came prepared. I got my water. I have this delicious coffee that my wonderful friend and fellow NPC made me. And I am just... I could talk for... probably for the rest of my life about LARP and about roleplay and stuff. Because, you know, I have no life and that's what I do. But yeah, I'm super happy that I'm here, and that they brought me along. I mean, they, Jask here, Didari, whatever he goes by, over here, has just been a joy to work with, for the LARP that I run, and his entire group, all the Goldpolds, are fantastic people, and just a blast to roleplay with. And I definitely wanted to touch on the Hetna campaign. I was actually able to come to the last stream of it, and just watching Didari here, DM, and watching all the characters was just mind-blowing. You guys are incredible at roleplay. Each of the characters was just phenomenal to watch, and I had a blast. Like, I generally don't like watching campaigns on Twitch because there's too much, you know, there's a lot of table talk, there's a lot of just Twitch stuff, and they just did such a good job at balancing, you know, being on Twitch, which itself is sometimes very, very difficult, and actually running a campaign and being engaging and having a great storyline, and just the character. Oh man, the characters. Specifically, and you know, all of you were amazing, but the one that really hit me was Calamity. That voice that Calamity did was just... That's actually what made me stop and watch it. Like, I was gonna watch it anyway, but, like, Calamity as a character just made me go, I'm watching this. I'm not, you know, I'm gonna sit here. And then each other character just made me want to watch it even more, and I'm kind of sad because, as far as I know, that was your guys' like third meet.
Yeah.
And so I feel bad that I wasn't, you know, there, so it was difficult to catch up on the story.
The other ones are out there on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. You think I don't want to go back. I want to be confused. This is amazing.
That's fair. And I'm so glad that you enjoy it. I know we talked about this briefly already, and I've already said that, but like, I'm so glad you enjoy it. It's honestly, it's been my worry that it's not all that interesting to listen to, despite our views saying otherwise.
I mean, that's just Twitch. There's not really much you can do about that. And speaking of, because this is another thing that I wanted to say, because it is one of the, I guess, complaints that I've gotten about the LARP. Me coming in to Hetna on the third meet, the LARP is an ongoing story. There's no way for us to stop and, you know, introduce new players in a, you know, a story that's been running for 12 years. It's just, you know, we do our best. But there's just stuff 12 years of backstory that we just can't vomit on you. And so one of the things that I've heard is from people who come to their first event, they go, I didn't really like it because I was confused. And my response to that is, come to one more event, just one. And if you still don't like it, cool. I get it then. Because the way I run the LARP is, in the first event, you are supposed to be confused. You are supposed to be like, what is going on? I don't understand any of this. Why, there's people talking about stuff and I just don't get it. And I do that because when you come to that second event and you start to hear stuff, you have a moment where that light bulb turns on and you go, that's what that means. This is what I was missing the first time. This, it's really, I play it for that one moment where it just, your brain explodes because you suddenly realize what you were missing. And I feel like it's worth every second of confusion in your first event to have that moment of clarity, in your second event, and then continuing to go and getting even more pieces to the puzzle, and then becoming that person later that when, culture shock, and then later becoming that person that the new person looks at and goes, what the hell are you talking about?
Yep, for sure.
And so, yeah. But you're right.
And a great example is the fact that my first event with you guys was the climactic battle with an end boss kind of person, like a big bad.
Mm-hmm.
We had no idea what was going on. We had no idea who to how powerful this person was, what was going on or anything like that. But I personally, I felt that kind of added to it. It was really fun just playing the Crow family, because for those that don't know, I bring in my Crow family before I bring in the Kobolds. It's to gauge how friendly the LARP is, because the Kobolds are a lot. They're a lot. We all talk.
I love them.
I'm so glad you do. We all talk in a high-pitched voice. We scream and screech, and we're crackheads. They're a lot. So we want to make sure the LARP is comfortable, because it's not fun if other people aren't having fun. So we need to make sure that the people are comfortable with that kind of energy coming out to the field. So we'll bring in the Crow family first, which are just a bunch of fairly normal, if a little bit evil, people. And once we gauge what the LARP's like, we'll bring in the Kobolds after that. And coming in as a Crow family, having no idea what was going on, and just at one point having the big bad try to convince the Crow family to join, and the deciding factor was, well, we don't want to piss off the players. It was really fun.
I return.
Welcome back.
Yay.
Yeah, I had a little bit of. I'm gonna make everybody hungry with some food porn real quick. I made some smoked paprika and brown sugar crusted pork loin with some little roasted veggies on the side.
Sounds really good, except for the roasted veggies.
A little bit of chicken gravy. You will eat your veggies, mister.
No, I won't.
Yes, you will.
Can't make me. You're not my real dad.
If I make veggies, if I make nice roasted carrots and potatoes at this LARP, you will eat your veggies.
I will try anything once. If you cook veggies for me, I'll try it once. I'll give you that.
Malorna, you will eat your veggies. When the nice dwarf man makes the veggies for you, you eat the veggies.
But yeah, honestly, I want to circle back real quick to a very previous topic of favorite moments at LARPs. I mentioned this recently to Adrenaline as well, but one of my favorite things is for the Kobold to say some stupid, I mean dumb shit, and then look over to Adrenaline. Because you can see him trying to remain in character while silently shaking from laughing. And it's just so funny. The Kobolds have taken to yelling random shit at people as we charge in to do combat. So, we'll start running at someone and yell, piss their pants, or consider your pants pissed, or I'm gonna touch your uvula. Take their shoes was another one. At one point, somebody yelled "take their shoes," and then the person that we're yelling "take their shoes" at got stunned. So I went up to them and started doing so that. At this particular LARP, you do a count when you're trying to do something. So like if you're trying to search a body, you go, 1, I search the body, 2, I search the body. Person got stunned. They're not even dead. They're just unable to move. My kobold runs over and I'm miming taking his shoes off. I go, 1, I take off your shoes, 2, I take off your shoes, 3, I take off your shoes. And it's just watching Adrenaline trying to stay in character while the kobolds are saying inane, just stupid bullshit at the top of their lungs in a high-pitched Mickey Mouse doing cocaine voice. It's so funny.
God, I love that shit. 1, I take off your shoes. 2, I take off your shoes. 3, I take 1, I piss your pants. 2, I piss your pants. 3. That's wonderful. That's so great.
If I got people correctly, Lana, I think if you're the person I think you are, at one point during the night we were fighting them, and instead of fighting them proper, just calling damage and swinging at them and taking down their health, I was trying to make them laugh so hard they couldn't fight me back. So I was just saying stupid shit at them at the top of my lungs as I'm beating them up. But yeah, seeing people's reactions to kobolds, especially Adrenaline's, because most people, for the most part, just lose it. But Adrenaline tries so hard to stay in character, so hard.
This is why we can't fight each other, Jas, because you know my kryptonite.
Oh yeah, I'll just fucking run at you yelling "pee-pee boys" and you'll die.
Yeah, just freaking.
I'm gonna get the kobolds to line up and link arms, and we're gonna come at you doing the can yelling "pee-pee boys," and you're going to unexist.
It's just ah. It's just one final clap, and then I'm done. I'm done. It's an ancient dwarven curse.
Or Adrenaline. So the kobolds have this thing where if you say panic, they will start panicking because they think there's something to panic about. And the kobolds have a clan-wide fight or flight response. So Adrenaline, knowing this, apparently was going to come in and at some point slip in the word panic and have the kobolds lose their minds. But we just started talking to his character, sat down with him, had a conversation, was talking about stupid bullshit, and he just never got around to it because of us just being how we are.
Oh, that was amazing. There was no point because you guys were already just. Oh man,
we're a bunch of crackheads.
Yeah. Just any of you who LARP with me, you're not allowed to use my kryptonite. You're not allowed. Unallowed.
Delightful.
Because I will lose it.
Since we're all back, I am scrolled up to where the questions were. And the first question is, what was your moment of realization of basically, this is actually how you roleplay. This is how you make a character and give them meaning.
I don't know, man. I wish I had a more concrete answer for that, but I just look at the things that make me feel in anime, and the things that make me feel in cartoons, and the things that make me feel in live action shows. The things that make your boy Jim cry, and the things that make me feel emotion. And I was just I want to make people feel these emotions the way that these shows make me feel emotion. So I'm an actor at heart. I'm an actor by trade. I mean, I wanted to be an actor for the first 17 years of my life. And I've always had a knack for being someone I'm not. And I think that's just what made me want to roleplay, because when I become this character, I can make people feel in a way that regular Jim would never be able to, and I think when I figured out that I could do that through D&D or do that through LARP, that's that was my moment. That was my like, yes, I know what this is. I know what I'm doing. You know, and
Yeah.
there wasn't really a defined moment, but it was just like I realized that through acting I can make people feel, and I was like, that's what I want to do. You know, I want to give people an experience that they can remember, and I mean that's just kind of how it happened.
Adrenaline, do you have it?
Honestly, my start is going to be the same. I don't think I had a specific moment where it really clicked, but it was just, years of. I've always loved the idea of role play. I've always loved reading. Reading is one of my most favorite things to do, and the worlds that they create and stuff. So there isn't a specific moment where I realized what role play actually was. It's just a lifetime of building on experiences and stuff. But at one point, since we talked about Gaia, there was a site that was much like it called Xantarni, and I'd be amazed if anyone remembered that. But it was much like Gaia, just much smaller. And I ran a roleplay on there. And at one point, it was the second largest roleplay on the entire site. And I felt extremely accomplished by that. But there was a moment, I guess this is the closest answer I can come from that, where I was no longer writing the character was writing itself. And that was the moment that I was like, this, I'm no longer this character. The character is doing its own thing because that's what the character would do. That was a very neat feeling. So I guess that would be the closest that I can get to that, that feeling of, this is what roleplay is.
Yeah. I actually weirdly had a solid answer for this one, because normally anything that deals with, going into the past of my brain is a crapshoot. But yeah, so up until a certain point, I was doing roleplay as more of, especially with D&D, as a, so this sounds interesting, let's do that. It was never like I'm making a defined character, this is how they would react to this. It was a lot of just, this sounds like an interesting thing to do. I'm obsessed with dragons, let's start trying to tame a dragon horde. Stuff like that. But then one day, during a different campaign ran by the same person I mentioned previously, my friend's dad, I had done this thing where my character had a bunch of fire water on him. Now, fire water is a thing where you cast it onto water, and once it comes into contact with air, it explodes. So it basically makes a bunch of bombs. And he had a crap ton of these on him because he is one of his favorite things to use. He would take a vial, stick a needle through the top with some string in it, and then essentially use these like bombs. And he had a crap ton of them on him, and we were in a fight that like all of our front lines had gone down. The cleric was going down soon. We did not have long, and my character looked to the cleric, went, kill the other two, and then ran at the enemy and just blew himself up and took the enemy out in that one go. And like the emotions that were filling the room, as like that was my character's last moments were spent saying, hey, take care of the others. And like people were getting all emotional about it. I was like, oh, okay, I like this. And I really think anybody who knows me, I think I've said this before on this podcast, anybody who knows me knows that I have the tendency to kill off my characters. I think that's really why. I think that defining moment, the thing that made roleplay click for me, was a self-sacrificing moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it really stuck through, and that's why so often in roleplays I'm in, I kill my characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's just like I said, for me, the power to make others feel with something that your character does, like it cements this love of crafting, this love of creating story that's just it's great. I have no other words to describe it. It is like when, like, for me, when you see an episode of a show that really, like, moves you, like, for instance, Keaton's death in Gurren Lagann, which is one of my favorite character deaths in any show, like, that moved me to tears. And the fact that I have done that for other people with my campaigns, I'm just like, I'm just a guy, man. I'm just a dude, you know? But the fact
Right.
that people look at me afterwards and they're like, Jim, that was amazing. I'm just like, yeah, this is the serotonin I needed. Thank you.
That's the
Delicious.
good stuff.
Yes.
For sure.
I'm just a little guy.
Another question we have is, what has been an interesting character that you've seen other people play?
So,
Oh,
yeah, and now I can't remember his name. But my friend Malleus, my friend Gavin played a skeleton blue mage, whose name was Malleus, and he was just the perfect asshole. Like, the perfect, like, power driven, like, all I care about is me. Like, he was fantastic. And he actually, the final battle was Eugene versus Malleus, because, you know, Eugene's lawful good, my character Eugene is lawful good, and Malleus had become lawful evil. And the final battle of the campaign, the end of the campaign, was Malleus wanted to go get this artifact, and Eugene was like, we can't do that. That'll literally end the world. And then Malleus was like, are you standing against me, boy? And the entire campaign, Malleus had been, like, Eugene had been scared of Malleus, you know? And then I had this character moment where they, like, stood up to each other, you know? And Malleus actually started to respect Eugene before they fought. And, like, that entire campaign with Malleus, I don't think Gavin's here, but if you ever listen to this, I want you to know, man, that, like, that was fantastic, and that was probably one of my favorite characters I've had interact at a table that I was at.
Oh yeah. What about you, Adrenaline?
oh man. There are so many. Like, jeez. I mean, the one specific thing was at least for for this last LARP, was the change from your kobold to dissonance, and watching the entire, you went from insane screeching to just this quiet. Oh man, it was awesome. But yeah, there's just so many. I mean, I've already brought up specifically Calamity, but every character that I ran across in that campaign was amazing.
You're talking about Heck,
there,
homie?
Yeah, he watched
Yeah.
our stream, so
Sick.
and then there was one in the first LARP I went to, Timerius the Great. Great mage, he was very self-absorbed, and I loved the character. And the reason I still remember him to this day is he was standing on the back porch of the tavern, and it's got to be like a 50-foot to the lake, and there was a water elemental coming out of the lake, and Timerius the Great just looks at that water elemental, casts a spell, and nails it clear in the chest from 50 feet away, and I'm just like, damn.
Did homie
Like,
have to yeet a beanbag 50 feet?
Yes, effectively, yes.
Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So for spells, usually you have tennis balls or like a little piece of cloth with a bunch of birdseed in it.
Yeah. God, can you imagine getting pegged with a tennis ball from 50 feet?
Yeah.
Just like, wow, the homie playing that water elemental must have been like, what the fuck? Go!
Oh yeah, he went down because it was just so. I mean, he probably had 5 times the health that that spell did, but he just went down because what are you gonna do after that? You just But yeah, I mean, there's been so
great.
many characters. I don't want to take up 4 hours, so I'll probably stop there. But I could go on and on about the different characters I've seen.
The idea of playing a rock, like a possessed rock.
We
That's
have
great.
actually had someone play a rock in the LARP, so that is an actual thing. Yes.
Lindsay. Oh shit.
Um,
Oh, pardon
to answer
me.
the question on my own end, God, you know what? I've got to agree. Calamity, Beep is killing it with Calamity. Oh my God! Like the whole party, amazing. I love everything everybody's doing, but the voice, the inflections, the responses to NPCs and the responses to players, the extra mile they go for their journal entry stuff of like writing it in code so that Hackna can't be reading her journals, is just so much. But in LARP. To give an answer of like something with LARP, there was at Shadowed Realms, the LARP I had mentioned it being my first LARP. There was somebody, I believe their name was like Tanger Nako or Tonger Nako, something along those lines. And like, I've known them for years afterwards. We don't talk as much anymore, but I've known them for years afterwards. And even so, the image of their original character is the image of them. Like, I cannot think of them in any other way than out on that field in somebody's backyard, dressed up in this like reddish themed barbarian outfit. And a really defining moment was after doing an encounter that should have killed him. He dropped to his knees, looked up to the sky, and yelled, "Gods, I defy you!" And one of the GMs who was standing by, hand on his head to show that he's not actually there, took his hand off his head and pointed at him and went, "Divine Smite, you're dead," and put his hand back on his head. And,
Yep. Yep.
and like,
Just a lightning bolt comes down. Krakow. Dusted.
and like my character had seen this happen and watched this man die, and then he returns back and is talking to the group, and then trotting into town like 2 hours later is Tanganako, alive. Refused to talk about what happened, but was boasting about how he bested the gods.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. We stan a humble king. We stan a humble king. But no, I'm just sitting here. I want you guys to know, I'm just sitting here thinking about my fucking dwarf chef. Like that is on the other end of my brain. Like one side of my brain doing podcast, other side of my brain, I want to be a dwarf. I want to be a fucking tiny man who cooks like I want to bring a spit and fucking roast a pig. Like just very, very in character. Just build a clay oven and like roast stuff on a fire, make like freaking cobbler and shit. Like,
Come out and do it.
Yes.
Literally, the only thing stopping you is getting out here and doing that. Also, the chat. I've got to verbally agree with this. Blunder, Jim, your wife.
Yeah.
Your wife.
My wife.
I was worried about your wife joining in 3 sessions late and like trying to find their footing. No, they hit the ground fucking running.
That
Yeah.
was
Oh
their
my God.
first introduction?
Yes.
That was their first introduction.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Right?
That was incredible!
She likes to say she's not very good at what she does, but
No, fuck that. She hit the ground running,
Yeah.
sprinting.
Mhm.
Damn!
Mhm. That's my wife. We met on a roleplay guild in World of Warcraft, so like yes. Thank you. I will make sure she listens to this part of the podcast.
Yeah, wow. That is impressive.
And she hasn't
Wow.
even really played D&D before either.
Damn. Yeah, whew. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
agree.
love the tied to the flagpole, but we'll fight God anyways.
Yes.
Kind of energy
Yeah.
she brought. Like,
Well, that's a very Jask energy to bring. So, like, I'm not surprised that you didn't like that. Because I can see you being in the same situation and being like, I don't care. Eventually, this character is just going to go fight a Demi. Like, you know.
and
the two
yeah,
dwarves
shout
in
out.
Enlightened Fantasy.
So at Atlantic Fantasy, there's these two dwarves that actually are allied with the Kobold clan. I this entire time I've been playing with a coin in my hand that they gave me that shows I'm an ally of the Dwarven clan. Yeah, they're amazing. They're great. I absolutely love those two dwarves. And they're friends with the Kobold clan.
Well, I don't know what his first name is going to be, but I like Brass Boots as a last name. I'm
super here for Brass Boots.
Yeah, Brass Boots
that's
is
awesome.
Great. Yeah. Gil approves of Splendor. He would totally get a beer with her. That's a funny sight. That's a funny.
Yeah.
Just like Splendor, and then the a pompous butt dork. That's what I called him. I was like, what did I call him? Yeah, just Splendor, and Gilby. There we go. Yes.
That was one of my favorite things that you said that session was, look at this pompous butt dork.
Yeah. Can we turn Gilby into a marketable plush? Marketable plush of Gilby. Marketable plushes of everyone.
Honestly, yeah.
Like marketable plushes of Eugene, marketable plushes of Splendor, marketable plushes of Heckna. I want a Heckna plush. Hey, listen, anybody at Hit Point Press, if you're listening, make a Heckna plush. Make a freaking Heckna plush, homie. Make a little squeaky hammer that looks like the punchline. Yes. That's what I want. Yes. Oh, yes. A marketable plushie of May with attachable fettuccine. Yes.
Oh my god, yes.
Put a little magnet in their shoulder and you can magnet a little snake plushie, like they come with a little snake plushie. Yes. Yes, very good. A Heckna with Gil in his pocket. Yeah. He has like a little, like one of the accessories that the Heckna plush comes with is a little tiny Gil head that you can stick on his pocket. Yes. Man, how much are custom plushies?
They can get pretty expensive.
Well,
but...
now, I was in the MLP fandom for a little bit. I know how much custom plushies can be. Yes. I was a brony for 8 years. Trust me, I know how much a custom plushie can be. As I stare at my blue Discord that I have on my shelf. Yes, indeed. But yeah, no, I just like. I have trouble picking characters that I like because I like everybody's character. Like I like everybody's character. Like, and that's the thing with LARP is that I think it's so cool that you can go to a LARP and then like you know someone as their character. Like, yeah, that's not Kevin. That's freaking Greg Thor, the unspeakable. Like you know.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how you know them.
I know the dwarves as the dwarves. I don't even know if I know their actual names.
I don't.
And then there's Kobold Clan, which consists of like 30 people or whatever. There are quite a few people from LARP that we know by their LARP name. Actually, Lana here isn't even Lana. Like, I'm pretty sure no one even knows his actual name.
There are people, I haven't played Richtofen in like 6+ years. There are people who still know me as Richtofen.
Mm-hmm.
Richtofen the zombie. He comes back with troll blood.
Yeah, like I love that shit. I love when people know me by, anything but my name. Which is a carryover from back when I hated my name before I changed it. But I still love it nonetheless now.
Like a shield dwarf.
Shield dwarf is so like because there's two dwarves. One's the shield dwarf, and the other one is not shield dwarf or cook dwarf or whatever comes to mind at the time for me.
Interesting.
Yeah. And also, that's how you designate between the kobolds, because again, all the kobolds, all of our names are kobold.
Yeah.
We're all called kobold,
but spelled differently.
but spelled differently. All that matters is that there's a K at the front. You can put anything you want after that. My favorite is the one Brennan has done, which is hold on. I'm gonna read this out to you because it is a mess. And he used actual rules from the English language. You can technically pronounce this as kobold. It is KQHYOVBA''ALLBD.
I hate that. I hate it.
Technically speaking, that can be pronounced as kobold if you read it right using the laws of the English language. I put that into the chat for everyone as well.
So, we got any other questions? I'm gonna let you be the question monkey, Jess.
Insert monkey noises.
Reading that has it given you an aneurysm? 'Cause that's what it did for me.
There's another kobold who every time you ask him to spell his name, he does it differently because he'll be like K T 7 and he'll just do that until he's bored.
It's wonderful.
Or I believe my amazing fiance's name has a smiley face in it.
Yeah.
Ampersand, close parentheses.
Yeah. And then like another person, the way they spell their name, they can't actually spell it on like a Discord or anything. They have to handwrite it because the way it works is they put like K smiley face and then a hand-drawn picture of an otter. Who has been your favorite NPC?
That's easy. That's easy
so
for
Jim,
me.
What's your favorite NPC?
Eugene. Because Eugene started out as an NPC.
That's right, yeah.
But there's also, my second favorite is from the Caliber Concord, which is in my world of Aeon Terra. Her name is Rosbin Oberon, and she is the Goblin Archmage of the Caliber Concord. And this is her voice. So this is what she sounds like. So she's just this little goblin who's like, man, why? See, so why you gotta send me all the adventurers? I'm trying to get my body back, and they won't let me, because frankly, nobody's interested in a goblin. You know what I mean? At least when you're a halfling, people look at you like you're some sort of human, and you have to understand that when I'm a goblin, I get the freaks, okay? And Rosman Oberon I'm too much of a lady for a freak, okay? God, and that's her.
That.
That's her as a character, and she's great to roleplay. Because anytime anybody come to her, it was just like, "Hey, why aren't you off doing the shit that I asked you? Why are you here talking to me?" And it was just great. It was wonderful. But those are my two answers.
What about you, Adrenaline?
Man. I know the one, my favorite NPC that I've played at the Larp was, and this was sadly before you guys came, it was actually a few years ago, I played the Queen of the Harpies. And it was just a great interaction because the Harpies in our game are relatively sentient. And it's almost like a baby. All they know how to do is cry. They don't know how to speak. And that's frustrating because they want to tell you something, but they can't. And that's pretty much the entire basis of the Harpies, is they're smart creatures, but they just don't have the ability to communicate the way that most other of the races do. So they're just pissed all the time because they can't get you to understand. And the Harpy, the ruler of the Harpies, is actually one of the few that can sort of speak. And just interacting with the players that way was just so much fun because half the players are like, this is a wild animal. We don't need to listen to this. Just either kill it or ignore it. And the other half of the players are like, no, we need to respect this thing. This is awesome. It can communicate. And it was really neat to see the two different parties of the PCs interact with it differently. As far as an NPC that isn't mine, man, there's a lot. There was one that is somewhat, they were an emotion mage.
Interesting.
But it
I said interesting. Emotion
Yeah.
mage.
Yeah. But it broke their mind, like, doing it, so they were just nuts. And it was just so much fun to watch them play the character.
Mm-hmm.
Because they played it so well. They were twitchy and just, they'd go from, one idea to the next without any kind of connection. And just, they wanted to be in the spotlight, so they'd walk into the tavern and voice radius euphoria because you're happy that I'm here, and it was just, every time they came in, it was something completely different. You never knew, as a character, where they were gonna be that day, and it was just super neat to watch them play that.
That sounds awesome.
If we're talking about ones that were not ours, well, Chuck the Wizard. Yeah, Chuck the Wizard, Jester Galbian. I like Jester Galbian a lot. I'm trying to think of another one. Madame Illuminara is really good. I like the way you play her. Almost all the like big NPCs in Zizix are very memorable and very good.
I'm so glad you feel that way.
Because one of my very favorite moments was that crit against Jester Galbian with the dragon sword. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It made me feel so good. Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, on that topic, my favorite NPC to play for tabletop is Jester Galbian. Jester Galbian being a big bad's henchman. He's not even the big bad. And at one point, I had, when I was running Zizix for a different group, I had all the players forget that the big bad existed because they hated Jester Galbian that much. He did his job so well. The players, upon defeating Jester Galbian, thought the big bad was defeated.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And he's just, I love playing smarmy assholes. And like he's just the smarmiest of assholes.
Yeah, me too.
And he's just so fucking fun to play, and he's got just a fun complex and like fun personality to play. Unfortunately, the current party I'm running Zizix for that has Jim in it, kneecapped him almost upon meeting him.
Yeah. He's my broski now. We reformed him.
I love it. Yeah, they got him going through a whole redemption arc now because of it. I still love that. That's still fun to explore. But like my favorite that I don't play, it's really hard to say. I mean, there's been so much that I've been a part of that like my friend Kiel played this really amazing vampire queen in Shadowed Realms. Absolutely loved that. That was cool. I can't remember anything specific about it. I just remember genuinely good feelings about it.
Mm-hmm. So Lindsay has a question.
Yeah.
What is one of the most surprising moments you've experienced? I can't talk. What is one of the most surprising moments you've experienced during LARP? Like a moment you absolutely did not see coming.
Dying to 4 trolls.
Yeah.
In a goblin cave.
Yeah. That's a good question.
Do you have any answers, Adrenaline? Because I can't think of any like off the top right now.
I mean, as a character, like my it had to be like my 3rd event in, so I was still super new. and I'm not the best with people, so like I knew maybe one person at that entire LARP, so I'm still like scared out of my mind. And I'm pretty sure NPC team was like, yeah, that guy, we're gonna get him invested in this LARP, even though I already was. But my happy little fire fae, and I actually got to bring this character in this last event that I ran, which wasn't at all my plan. That was not something that I planned. But they were like, yeah, this guy, we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him into this LARP. So my happy little fire fae gets kidnapped by horrible, horrible wizards who are like, hey, machinery and life things can be put together, right? And so it was a great roleplay moment. Basically, he got put in a machine, got like the top quarter of his body ripped to shreds, and then replaced with mechanics and a flaming sword because, hey, he's a fire fae, he needs a flaming sword. And it was just so, like, it was amazing from a story perspective. You know, their descriptions were spot on. And, you know, so I'm sitting there in character feeling myself get ripped apart, and it was just, whoa, you know.
I mean, why wouldn't you want a flaming sword, really? I mean, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you?
Yeah, come on. So, you know, me as a brand new player, and me as a character not knowing anything about this world, having that kind of dropped on me, I guess would be something that I just didn't see coming, but it was so good.
What is your most favorite moment that a player choice changed the game drastically? That's a good question. I don't know that I'm trying to think of one.
I have one.
Go ahead, Jazz.
So I also played a character named Zazarath. Which,
I do have one. Never mind.
Which anybody who's gone through Zizix will recognize the name Zazarath. It's one of the first dungeons you go through is Zazarath's dungeon. But I played him at a LARP, and Zazarath liked to just get into trouble. He would look at trouble and be like, yes, I want a part of that. How do I get a piece of that cake? Like, he looks at a beehive and goes, I'm going to stick my dick in that. I'm going to give it a wiggle and see what happens. And
oh dear,
turned,
Zazzy boy.
He turned a corner behind the tavern, and like there is somebody back there with candles, like full-on actual candles in a big circle. They've taken like a bunch of rope and made a bunch of arcane symbols by just laying out this rope, and like they've got a book in their hand. There's one of the GMs. It's actually the GM, the person who made the LARP. Is standing off to the side with his hand on his head, so clearly not there, but supervising what's going on. And the person's like reading from their book, and then like my character Zazarath turns over the corner, looks at what's going on. He makes eye contact with the person. The person like pauses just briefly, but then like quickly goes back to reading his book, but puts a hand on his weapon on his side, just to make sure like if I go to attack, he's going to be able to defend himself. And Zazarath looks at this person, looks at the circle, looks at all this stuff. I put my hand on my head and go, hey, I have this many levels in lore arcane. What do I know? And the GM's like, you know that this is way beyond your scope, and that it's definitely demonic in nature. And Zazarath just kind of nods to himself, and then turns and just kind of stands leaning against the corner of the tavern, just looking out in the other direction. Somebody goes to go around behind the tavern. Zazarath goes, no, somebody's pissing back there. Go somewhere else. And just play the lookout for this person. He didn't even know. He just wanted to see what's happening. Well, it turned out the big bad was happening. The big bad was created that night.
That's lovely. So my thing, going back to my boy Gavin again, I can't believe I didn't think of this first off. But Gavin became the god of my world. And the way that happened was, so basically, Aeon Terra, who is the big god of my world, she got bored And so she created the evil pantheon, basically, because when the world became anew, it was just her and the 12 other bright gods, and they ruled the world, and it wasn't even a thing. But then Aeon Terra got bored ruling the world that she created, so she was like, I want to throw some spice in there. So she split herself in half and made the Black Pantheon, or the Dark Pantheon, and basically at the end of the campaign, what you have to do is you have to unite the gods to make the world go back into harmony again. And so Sariel, who was Gavin's character, got thrown into the Nexus of Creation while she was fighting her dad, who was possessed by all of the dark gods. Lore stuff, but that's basically what happened. So she got thrown into the Nexus of Creation, and I gave him an ultimatum. I was like, do you pull away, or do you push inward, basically? And not telling him what it did, and he pushed inward. And what happened was the gods were united, not using the Nexus of Creation, this crystal, as the uniting factor, but Sariel's body. So she literally became the god of my world. And,
That's awesome.
And I literally sat there and I was like, I don't know how to write for Aeon Terra now. Because you are all of them. You are the Bright Pantheon and the Nox Pantheon. Like you live in the God closet now. Like what am I supposed to do? Like I didn't think you were gonna do that, but she did, and yeah. So now all of the stuff I have to write for Aeon Terra is essentially alternate timelines, because in the original timeline, Sariel is God. So like,
Love that.
You know, I have to do something completely different with that if they want to play in that world. So, you know.
I have one I want to real quickly squeeze off, which is Lats, Roxy in my Zizix campaign that Jim plays in.
Yes.
I had briefly hinted at this. Jester Galbian had come to show his face, and in the Zizix campaign you have the MacGuffins you have to gather, and one of them is at the start of the campaign during our session 0. I'll ask the players, hey, who wants to become plot bitch? I won't define what that means. I just let them know that plot bitch means that at some point you're going to get fucked by plot, or plot's going to happen very closely tied to your character, and it could have detrimental effects, and that's about it. Roxy volunteered, which means that they have the Moonstone Heart. The Moonstone Heart allows you to make 3 wishes, and stuff happens with that. But you don't know you have it. You have to find out. Roxy had just found out they have the Moonstone Heart, and that Jester Galbian shows his face. He's flaunting it. He's basically saying, you're gonna come with me, and he's showing his powerful, crazy magic. He's got the First Flame, which means that all of his pyromancy burns you down to the soul, so you can't even get healed, because the way healing works is it matches your body to your soul. He burns away the soul, so any fire damage he does is permanent. And in the middle of Jester Galbian being the shitlord he is, Roxy goes, I wish Jester Galbian can't cast magic anymore, and robbed me of my big bad's henchman. He's literally the court mage for the big bad, and not anymore, because he can't be a mage. He literally, because of the wording, he can't even use scrolls. He can't cast magic. The only magic that will work for him are things like, if this happens kind of magic.
Good, do it again. Mm-hmm.
Adrenaline.
So, while I was thinking about that, I just remembered a moment that I did not see coming, which also kind of goes with the player's choice, changing the game drastically. So, at one point, just before you joined the LARP, the gods existed, and the players got it into their head that they're just going to murder them, which is perfectly reasonable. And so one of our characters had gotten his hands on a gun that shot I don't even know what to call them. They're called essence bullets in the world, but they're literally like bullets of existence. And so this character shoots one into a god, and the god dies because I mean, and then the god of life shows up, and I'm playing this life god, and they're talking for a moment, and the god of life just goes, "What did you do?" And this character turns around and starts fiddling with the gun and goes, "Yeah, I just did this," and just fires right into Life's stomach. And it was just, I had to stop for a moment because I had, I was like, oh, well, damn, I guess I'm dead, because it was just so sudden. They just turned around, and the last thing I expected was them to shoot that gun again. And it was just so awesomely done. And then the other one that George just messaged me, we had a character before this that was collecting the essences of all the gods. Because that's what they did. They were a type of voodoo mage, so they were collecting everything's essence. And so they got a few of the god essences. And at one point, there was a gigantic explosion of magical energy that created this crater that was leaking magic. Well, this crater, because it was just exploding with magic, was basically taking creatures and making abominations out of them and setting them loose in the world. And so this character with all of these god essences went, you know what? I know how to fix this crater, and dumped all the god essences into it. And that went exactly as well as that sounds like it would go. It made horrible god abominations and just ripped apart the world, and it was a massive, crazy thing that they had to go through to fix that very well-intentioned but ultimately very stupid idea.
That sounds metal as hell. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know I briefly touched on it, but be ready, because the kobolds have every intention of summoning their gods to your world as well.
Oh, I'm 100% on board for that. I cannot wait.
Oh my lord. I could just imagine, like, I'm just sitting there making pancakes at the tavern. Everybody's just like, yeah, summon a god. Yeah, that's what I did.
The kobolds literally have the lore for it. The event that we joined, the players had summoned a god, and some of our group was there for that. So they have the ritual for summoning the god down. They just need to change it to summon the kobold gods.
Mm-hmm.
Look, guys, I'm just making pancakes. I'm not dealing with any of this.
What I imagine is like it's a bunch of kobolds doing like this arcane ritual, and like freaking Brass Boots is in the tavern just like making bacon or some shit, and it like smash cuts with him making bacon, and like you see them dragging like a dead body and like a cross and like a flaming stick and like a bunch of chalk, and then he's just freaking. Oh my god.
Are you ready to have hives, Jim?
Yes.
You want to know one of the gods' names?
What?
Beppo.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Yes, you take the bacon and you put it in some pancakes. I actually have a recipe for bacon pancakes. It's very nice.
But yeah, and the fun thing about the kobolds, by the way, is their gods are just fucking stupid.
This is the god of aglets.
Beppo is a orangutan with a mouth on his stomach that is always hungry, because his mouth doesn't actually lead to his stomach. It leads to a pocket dimension that cannot ever be filled. So he's always just shoveling food in there.
That's my spirit animal.
Or like, recently the players at the Larp field had learned about the kobold sun god named Gullimon. And they believe that the sun is the light on an anglerfish.
Pardon me?
Yeah, so like they think that the deep sky is another ocean called the astral sea, and they believe that the light is Gulamon swimming by, and yeah, or like their main deity, the otter, is mayor elect of the gods.
I don't get it. I don't understand. Brass Boots is gonna be like, you know what? They're good kids, I think, but like, yeah, no, it's just no. Well, when you said anglerfish, also I got Hard Magnus archives like flashbacks.
Yeah, to the first episode.
Anglerfish. Yes. But that's really really interesting, just because like kobolds are something else, man. Kobolds are something else.
Yeah, they are.
All right. Well, we just hit the 2-hour mark, which, as much as I would love to sit here and talk about this with you guys all night, it is getting time to wrap this up, I think. So,
yeah.
Is there any final words that all of you would like to have before I do my spiel?
Super fast. Is Nightbot going to shit my pants if I post a link?
No.
Okay. Everybody in the chat, if you haven't already, Adrenaline streams. You should check them out. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
They're super rad. I like watching them. They're very chill kind of gamers. Not a lot of yelling, unlike Jim.
Yeah. Exact opposite here, fam.
Literally the exact opposite. But I like listening to them. I'm often in their streams, chatting away in the streams chat, not actually streaming with them.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that so much.
No
and at least for me personally, like, oh my god, hit me up on Discord. I love role-playing, I love DMing. If you are ever bored, I will throw a campaign to you, together for you in like 10 seconds, and we will run it, because yes. So
yeah.
I want more RP in my life.
Mad respect, home dog.
Like,
I mean, shit. I'm looking to run more tables here soon. You're more than welcome to be at one of them.
Oh my god! Yes. Power. Yes. More people. More. Give Jask money. Give me money. Give Adrenaline money. Give us coins. Just, hey, look, listen. Y'all want to be real nice? Y'all want to know how to be real nice to us? You want to know? You RP with us. You come and you be at Jazz Tables. You donate to twitch.tv/DokuroGym, twitch.tv/Adrenaline153. You give us the ability. You give us the ability to create for you. You tap that little sub button, which, by the way, is 20% off in September. So just so you know that, just so that's out there in the ether, do it. Support
you're
your
so
people.
Like, streamer.
Yeah. Right? Right. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe on my YouTube, where this is going to be posted moments later. I mean, we need a people, but the coin is nice. You know?
Yes.
You know, and I will never say that donations are needed, but donations are appreciated, because the more money I have, the more I get to do this dumb shit for you, and this is what I love. So,
For sure.
Take that into consideration. I hope you all have a lovely, lovely night. Unless there was any other closing arguments we wanted to have. Everybody said their piece?
Everybody said you have anything you want to say?
I'm good to go.
You good?
Okay.
All right. So, I hope all of you have a very fantastic evening. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe and hit that follow once again. I will say it until the day that I die. And remember, a stranger told me, don't lick doorknobs on other planets.
Oh, dude, we're not your dads. We can tell you.
Yes. Goodbye, everybody.